Why, hello and welcome to the PHP. I'm Booker. That's Perez. How you doing?
I am good. I'm thankful. Last week, we had more people than normal check out our podcast. And I think that this week is going to continue to build on that momentum because there is so much to talk about this week. We are going to get into Travis Scott and that AstroWorld disaster. Aaron Rodgers' dumb lies. It's always fun when I talk sports. The latest on Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson. Kanye West at war with his nannies and John Legend and Big Sean. Meghan Markle wilding it out and more. But first, how are you? You're like nonstop dog sitting. What's the term? Dog sitting? No, fostering. There we go.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that dog just went back. We had a dog that someone brought back, and they only needed us to keep it for like a week. So he was a big, beautiful boy, only 4 months old. Dumb, but a sweetheart. What a sweetheart. It was hard to give him back, but so we're dog free at the moment. It's just our dog and that's it. We're having some work done at the house, so I'm kind of in a different location if you're watching, in my laundry room. So there you go.
Wow, that's your laundry room.
That's my laundry room.
Some platinum plaques behind you. Your laundry room looks a little bit cooler than your office.
Yeah. That actually was like my third bedroom. I don't have an office. I guess technically this would be my office if there was an office.
How was your weekend? Did you do anything?
I really didn't. We've been so busy with the dogs. It was basically a cleanup weekend where we had to clean up the yard and the house because we're painting the entire back of the house, the back bedrooms. So we've been sort of like camping in our own house for a week on top of having all these dogs. It's just been crazy. So I didn't really do anything. Seriously, we just cleaned up all weekend. We were in the yard and in here.
I had a pretty good weekend, although I wasted Friday, and I hate wasting things.
How'd you do that? Did you fall asleep early?
No, I went to the Beverly Center to try to buy the new iPhone. They didn't have it at the Beverly Center. They said, oh, we have some at the Grove. I went to the Grove. They didn't have it there. By the time I drove from the Beverly Center to the Grove, they had sold out of whatever iPhones they had.
Wow.
So that sucked. And then Saturday, I went to a gay baby shower. So that was nice. Mm-hmm. And I saw the Eternals movie, which I won't give you guys any spoilers, but I hated. It's the worst Marvel film I've ever seen.
I know nothing about them. And I just happened to read something about this. Whatever the crux of the article was, that it blows, and this is the worst Marvel movie ever made. That's what I'd read. I hadn't seen it, but that's what I read.
I agree with that. And I just saw a few months ago Shang-Chi, which I loved. Mm-hmm. That was another Marvel movie, but this is the worst Marvel movie ever. And I don't know how that happened. Like because they've got pretty good quality control. Like, how do you let that happen? I don't get it. I think the biggest problems for me were with the script. This is not a spoiler. The Eternals are immortal alien creatures, right? So they've lived thousands of years, and there was just way too many flashbacks, to the point that it was annoying. Like, oh my God, we're going back in time again, rolling my eyes. No, we're not going back in time again. Like, oh my God.
Isn't it weird, Hollywood's use of flashbacks? Like, oh, we'll get the script straight just by doing another flashback, and we'll go back and straighten that out. And it's even a product of television shows. I'm watching the, what is it? Goliath, the third or fourth season, whatever it is, the final season of the Billy Bob Thornton show. And this entire season, same thing. They keep flashing back. And I'm like, stop it. It's fucking driving me insane. And I just fast forward through the flashbacks. And you know what? I didn't need them. I figured everything out. I don't need their stupid flashbacks. It's just, I'm with you.
But after the movies, we went to Umami Burger, and that was real nice.
Very nice.
That truffle burger is magic. Yeah. Oh my God. All right. I don't know how to get into this because it's tragic, but the biggest story right now that is real because 8 people died is the tragedy in Houston at Travis Scott's AstroWorld Festival. I'm not a Travis Scott fan. So I wasn't familiar with his aesthetic, with his fan base, with his past. But over the weekend, I became acquainted with it. And this man, Kylie Jenner's baby daddy, has been arrested twice before for inciting riots at shows. The official commercial for AstroWorld 2021 showed people at the last festival that he put on storming the barricades and going in. And he tweeted in May of this year, just after tickets for the festival sold out, he tweeted encouraging people to sneak in. Listen, obviously encouraging people to sneak in is not telling them to, stomp over people and things like that, but encouraging people to sneak in creates and leads to an unsafe environment. The tweet that he sent out said, "Nah, and we still sneaking the wild ones in." He deleted that tweet, by the way, so it's no longer up. And initially, TMZ was fed information by Travis Scott's camp that some wild person was going around and stabbing people with syringes. The police spoke over the weekend and said that there was only one reported case of something like that. Mm-hmm. And that was with a security guard. So to me, that might have been a targeted attack against a security guard. Mm-hmm. I think the consensus is this could have and should have been avoidable. Like I'm not clearly a crowd control expert, but I've read multiple articles from crowd control experts about mistakes and things that this festival did wrong, that if they had not done, these people would have most likely been alive. And Travis Scott was not just a performer. This is his festival. He organized this. So it's awful all around. And I think they might already be in major trouble for maybe Kylie Jenner specifically. The lawsuits have already begun. Some lawsuits have already been filed against Travis Scott. And Kylie Jenner spoke out saying that neither she nor Travis were aware of the casualties during the show. Mm-hmm. Now you're an expert, you know how things work. Mm-hmm. When artists of that caliber are performing in concert, they have this thing on 99% of them, maybe like there's an exception out there, but almost all modern artists, including rappers, have in-ear monitors where they can hear themselves, and the front of house, FOH, or his team can also speak to him. They can communicate to the artist.
Well, you can't really hear that. I mean, it's not like you're a quarterback and you gotta, I mean, it's, you're hearing the music mix.
Yeah, but at times where the music is like, there were points during the concert, during his set, where the music was not playing. His team was communicating or could have been communicating with him. All I'm trying to say is, if Kylie Jenner now says that we didn't know there were any casualties during the performance, and if in these lawsuits they subpoena all audio tracks, including his in-ear monitors, and if we find out,
but who cares?
What I'm getting at is, here's the question: if Travis Scott was aware that there were casualties during his performance.
You would
Should
know.
he?
I mean,
no, well, that's not what I'm asking you. I'm saying because here's the thing.
so if the sky falls,
No,
who
well,
should we sue?
Well, I've read up a lot about this.
Who cares? I mean, you're
finish.
so far
No,
in the rabbit hole right
Stop
now
saying,
that it's
okay,
boring.
No. It's stop.
No, I'm just being honest with you. You're so far in this rabbit hole, it's boring. Listen.
Well, I'm not trying to make it exciting. This is people died.
Okay, but people probably die at shows all of the time. People have heart attacks at shows. People trip and fall at shows. People fall off of high rise. People die all the time. And by the way, they didn't listen. Listen, you've talked for a half an hour. Let me give you my take on this. Okay. Here's the deal. First of all, I did read up. The people that died were far back. They weren't in the front. You couldn't even see it. Most concerts, most the shows that I've been to, and metal shows in particular, there's a lot of the squishing, and you'll see bands stop and kind of tell everybody to move back and step back because they visually can see things happening in front of them. That's what typically happens. That they say, whoa, this is people are getting pushed and pushed. The people that died or in the back, not in the front. They were in the back. So you don't necessarily see that. And if somebody passes out because of drugs or exhaustion or out of breath, you wouldn't relay that to the singer. I mean, he's not listening to the fucking news in his headset, okay? He's doing a show. He has no idea what's going on. That's what's happening. Number two, the most important thing, this doesn't matter. If you put on AstroWorld tomorrow, as many people would show up, if not more. People don't care. They go to these things and they want this experience. They want this many people. They want this kind of thing. That's what they sign up for. I promise you, if you did the show today, the same amount of people would show up. Now, I think more people would be paying attention like, hey, what's going on around us? But people have been getting smushed at shows for years. This isn't anything new. It's a horrible tragedy is what it is. That's what it is. That's it. I mean, you're diving into who's responsible and this and that. Well, he's not listening to the news in his fucking headset. He's doing a show.
Okay.
Does he have a responsibility to watch the crowd in front of him and make sure that nothing's happening? Sure, maybe. But another thing is he's a hip hop artist, which tells me he's performing to track, which like rock bands, they'll just stop playing. And they could back it off. But that track just goes and goes and goes.
There were points that there was no music and he was talking to the audience. Anyways, authorities proclaimed it a mass casualty event sometime in the 9 o'clock hour. And after that, he kept on performing for 37 minutes, according to authorities. I definitely believe he is partly to blame. Is it his fault? No, but he is partly to blame. He's legally going to be held responsible. I don't know if criminally the same will be true.
Well, that'll be the question, because legally he has insurance, and the venue has insurance, and they'll be the people that would have to pay any of this.
Well,
he's not liable for how.
I'm sure insurance will fight them if insurance says, well, you should have been doing that and you didn't do this.
Well, he doesn't. He's not the guy at the gate that takes the tickets. Okay, he's just a performer. He signs up to come to a place.
It's his festival that he organized.
It is his festival. You're right. And if his name is on it, then they're probably going to be somewhat liable. But they have insurance for these types of things. The bottom line is
insurance works.
We're in the midst of COVID. And much like the concert business, or much like the restaurant business, or any freaking business, everyone is severely understaffed right now. And there's not enough people doing the jobs that are safety precaution jobs. You look at the airlines, all these flights that are canceled and canceled and canceled. It makes me
actually, that's not true. According to the police in Houston, there were more security personnel working AstroWorld than they were at the baseball thing, the World Series.
Oh, well, I mean, that's a different crowd too. You got people in seats versus, people on the field. That's a completely different scenario. I don't know if that means that there's enough.
I mean,
because you had more than the World Series.
I do believe I recall the number was over 1,000 security personnel.
Say 1 million. I don't know how many typically you'd need, and I don't know how many people are engaged in truly doing their jobs like they're supposed to now. I just think it's a product of there's just not enough people doing what they're supposed to be doing anymore. Everyone's just like, oh, well, I personally wouldn't go to a show like that at this point in time. I just wouldn't. Just looking
So
at the
you
world
wouldn't
the way it
go
is.
to Coachella?
I wouldn't go to Coachella and go into a pit. No, but I'm not a go into a pit kind of person. I'm not. I think people like that festival seating and that festival being squished up against somebody. Not
I
for
don't like
me.
that.
I'm with you, bro.
That's one of the
Never has.
reasons. That's one of
Never.
the reasons I've never been to Coachella.
I am post up in the wings guy with a drink. That's always been me. I have never been the person that's like, I need to get in here and I need to be with the people. Fuck all that. I can hear the music fine from 20 yards to the left of the crap that's happening. But that's, to each his own. Like I said, people would show up tomorrow. They would sell it out and do the same thing. People like that shit.
I don't know.
I don't think people like dying, but
yeah, I think there is an assumption that people make when they go to a festival that they're going to be safe.
I would argue that if you go into one of look, I've been to a lot of metal shows and rock shows in my life. I would never go into that because I don't assume I'm going to come out okay. I don't assume that I'm not going to get squished. I don't know. That's kind of using some sense. But as I said, people are into that. People like that. People want to be a part of that breathing, moving crowd and the swaying. Fuck all that. I have no interest in that shit.
Well, my heart goes out to all of the families of the 8 people, and there are still some people hospitalized. I don't know an update, but I even saw that there's still a 10-year-old that is hospitalized in critical condition. Rapper Roddy Ricch has said that he's going to be donating all the money that he made from performing at AstroWorld to the families. And Travis Scott has not made any kind of pledge like that.
Well, that may be assuming some sort of blame if you do so. So I think there's a lot of legal implications by doing that. So I wouldn't be surprised if he did down the line, but they got to do it in a strategic way. He doesn't want to get sued. He's going to get sued. If you said he like really runs like his name is, I know his name is on it, but I don't know, it's like saying some of the clothing lines that these artists have are theirs. No, they're not. I mean, that's just their name. You know what I mean?
He had a promoter. He did it in partnership with Live Nation.
I don't know. I don't know what that.
Which is also shocking that this also happened at a Live Nation event, because it's like Live Nation and AEG. They're the biggest promoters in the country.
Let me get this right. You're shocked that people take profit over safety? What? I'm not.
or that, they let the celebrity have their way with if they were advising him to do something else and he said, no, I want to do it this way. It's like,
look, there's a fire code for every building. And my question is, were they over it? But then again,
it was an outdoor space.
Yeah. But that was a stadium, right? Was it at NRG?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a stadium. So I don't know if that, what if the people from the top came to the bottom? Like that's always the question, but that's a security question. Like that shouldn't happen. Like you shouldn't be able to go from one section to another. But when it gets crazy like that, when this, this chaos, if people rush the gates, then they rush the gates. There's nothing, what are you going to do as a security guard? Nothing. You're going to go, okay, well, there you go. I'm not fighting all these people. It's terrible, but like I said, people would go again tomorrow. That people like this shit.
I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I agree with that.
People aren't like,
all right, well, you call
afraid
us.
Of things like you and I think people are like, I just want to go and live my life. And they're not even, they may have read this story or they may have heard this story. Most people aren't reading the news or caring, you're talking about a 10-year-old here.
But they're seeing the videos. Like all these videos have gone viral. I disagree with you. What do you guys think? Call us 800-721-1185. If they were to have another AstroWorld festival in Houston tomorrow, do you think people would go? Chris Booker says yes. I say no. What do you think? All right, on to lighter news. I have a cheesy couple's name for Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson. Kourtney Kardashian and Travis Barker are Kravis. Kim and Pete are Pim. I like it. Pim.
Uh,
I mean, I really couldn't think of any other one that was better than Pim. There was Kim Pete, but that sounded too much like kimchi and just not good. Pim. I really like Pim. It's simple, it's catchy, and
I don't even get it. Pete
and Kim. Pim.
That doesn't work.
Does Kravis work?
Well, I at least get it because at least I go, the
Pim.
KR and the Avis, I get it. It's stupid as well. It's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard.
How could you not get Kim?
Pim, you mean?
Yeah, Pim. Sorry. How could you not get Pim?
Pim. It's not long enough. It doesn't have enough syllables. It needs multiple syllables
so
I can understand it. Pim, you would not think of those two people when you say a one syllable word. You just wouldn't. You'd think of I don't even know, Pim. I would think of a drink or something. I don't know. Well,
if you guys have a better nickname,
there is no nickname. Okay, let's just put the nickname thing to rest. It's a dumb fucking idea.
People love nicknames. I love nicknames. Anyways, Pim is heating up. They went from Los Angeles and their hand holding at Not Scary Farm to multiple dates in New York City, some of which were in group settings, and one of which was a solo one-on-one date that got everybody talking, not just because it was the two of them by themselves, but Kim Kardashian went all the way to Staten Island.
What? She crossed the bridge?
Is there a bridge to Staten? No, there's no bridge to Staten Island, is there?
Yes, there is. That's how you get to Staten Island.
I thought it was only a ferry.
No.
Is there a bridge?
You can take the ferry across.
There's a bridge?
Not the Verrazanos, not the Gothels. What's the goddamn bridge that goes from the Verrazanos? Then the Whitestone is up east. Yeah. You take the bridge across.
I've never been to Staten Island. You have?
It's horrible.
It's horrible.
It's weird that it's so close to New York City and it's such a dump.
It is?
Oh, it's a dump. Yeah. Listen, they're fucking. If she's going to Staten Island, they are definitely.
I know, because when I lived in New York City, I hated even going to meet up with somebody in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn's hard. I mean, you gotta go all the way across the bottom of Manhattan and take a bridge or the subway, and then you navigate once you get there. Jersey City's easy. You take the path and you're there.
Yeah, actually, Jersey City was way easier because I used to live in the West Village.
You lived on the West Side, yeah.
But even meeting somebody up in Washington Heights, I'm you want me to spend 30 minutes plus in the subway to get all the way up there to 215th Street or whatever. Anyways, they're totally doing it, right?
They gotta be. I don't see it any other way. I mean, or
she just loves the attention that much.
But
I think it's both. Both.
But to me, it seems petty because her sister's got the moment, right? And she just can't handle if they're not dating, it's petty as fuck because she needs attention. And it could be she needs something to do on this television show. I mean, risking your life and going to shitty Staten Island, maybe that's just fun. Were there cameras following them? That's another question.
No, there were no cameras. It was real.
I mean, I guess it's something to talk about on the show, but
how are things with Pete?
Pim.
They're such an odd couple. I mean,
they're not a couple. I'm not buying it.
They're totally a couple.
I think Pete Davidson is a lot thirstier than I thought he was. I think he's very, very thirsty.
He would.
I already knew she is.
Sure. Yeah.
But him, it's just from one that they got next.
Yeah, he only dates famous girls. He can't date a regular girl.
Well,
God forbid.
But the thing is, his dick keeps telling the story. You know what I mean? There's a lot of celebrities that can just go out and date people, and you never know. But you just keep reading about one to the next, to the next, to the next. Like a publicist seems to be involved in every single relationship, every single fling, every single thing. So to me, it just says that he really, is on this press train, gets it, is doing it for that. I just can't see that. I can't really see it any other way. I think that he loves this.
He loves it. She loves it. And they're totally dating. It's a couple. I don't see them lasting. At least with Courtney and Travis, they're both around the same age. They both have children. They both live in the same city. You know, Pete lives in New York. Kim lives in Los Angeles. Kim is 40. Pete is in his 20s. Kim has 4 children. Pete has no children, you know, like,
it doesn't work at all.
But
that doesn't mean they're not doing it, or they
Exactly.
haven't done it. He just wants she just wants a peek at that the Pete peen. That's what she wants to see. Is it legendary or not? He says it's not.
He gives men hope, you know, because he's not like what many would consider good looking.
Well, he's funny. All you got to do is be funny.
I don't know if that's all you've got to do.
Listen, I've had a lot of girlfriends in my life. You think this face got them? That got me any of them? No. You got to have a sense of humor.
When you were younger, you weren't as haggard, you know. So
I don't know. I was never really beautiful either. I mean,
I never said you were beautiful.
Yeah, but I mean, I hung out with good-looking dudes all the time, and I could at least tell you that while hanging out with good-looking dudes, like really good-looking dudes, I would see girls just throw themselves at them, like to the point where I would sit there and say, I must be fucking heinous, because no girl has ever come up to me or ever like started talking to me or been like, hey, you know, you look like you got something going on, ever. But if I go out with let me give it a good example. I'll give my buddy a plug, Brian McFadden, that worked at MTV. We would go out all the time and girls would just throw themselves at him. And I'm like, this guy said, what it was good. He's good looking, you know, especially when we were young and stuff. And the girls that were with him, I could have been like on fire and they wouldn't have looked my way. But, you know, girls, let me tell you the other time. There was one time, I've never seen anything like it in my life. I went out with my buddy from the Stern Show, who's buddies with John Stamos. I have never, ever, ever in my life seen so many women, like literally just, it didn't matter who they were like dogs panting at him and just like right to like, just to get his attention. And I don't even know how you walk through life like that. People just wanting to, you know, do it with you constantly. But it's,
he
I've never
enjoyed
experienced,
that
even in my height
decades.
of fame, I never experienced anything like that.
He, you know, that's like Zac Efron. John Stamos is
I
like
can't
Zac
imagine.
Efron.
He's got to have the same thing. I bet he walks into a room and it's just like crazy. Like even Bieber doesn't have it. Like I was at a sushi place once and Bieber was standing like literally right next to me. And all the girls, everyone looks because he's the, you know, fish in a bowl and everyone's looking. But I enjoyed more looking at the people to see how much they were freaking out. So I'm like checking out the girls, and all the girls kept saying this one thing they said over and over: he's so tiny, he's so little. You know, that's what they kept saying over and over. It still wasn't the Stamos thing. The Stamos thing was like they were on some sort of, they were drugged. They were fucking roofied in his presence. It was unbelievable. I've never seen anything like that in my life. I'll never forget that.
Good times. Well, from Kim to her still husband, Kanye West, Kanye is still calling Kim Kardashian his wife. He gave an explosive new interview on this podcast where he drank a lot, which
that sounds fun,
but is dangerous because Kanye is already unfiltered.
Yeah.
But then you get him unfiltered and drunk.
Yeah, you get him lubed up on top of it. But the problem with Kanye is he says so much nonsensical bullshit. It doesn't even matter that he's drunk. It's just like, I'm so to the point with him. I've tuned out to everything he says because he says so much and most of it's just gibberish. And it's, you know, feeding his own ego, and it's on and on. And it's just like, boring. He's just boring to me. Like he's not thought out when he talks. And I'm not saying that he's an idiot or anything. He just says too much.
I'll disagree. You know, that interview was like 2.5 hours long, and I actually watched almost all of it.
And you won't watch The Crown, but you'll watch some idiot talk to Kanye. Oh, that sounds great.
It was enthralling.
Your interests are shocking to me.
It was fascinating. It was he was trash talking. He was just saying
All
the
right, well, that
wild.
sounds fun.
Yeah, he was trash talking everybody. He was, trash talking
I'm
big.
sure he brought up like Drake and he has no talent or something like that.
Well, he brought up Jay-Z. I don't even remember if he mentioned Drake, but he's like, oh, Jay-Z's my brother. And he had like some quote like, when he say shit, I say shit. When we say shit, we fight, or some shit like that. I don't know.
Exactly. That's exactly where I'm tuned out.
Anyways, yeah, Kanye said that one of his biggest regrets in life was signing Big Sean, talking all about how like John Legend is paid for by the Democratic Party and he's like a puppet and will only
who can listen
apparently
to that?
He was very offended and upset that he did not get more support when he ran for president. He took that very seriously. And there was a publicist. This is one of the best parts. There was a publicist in the interview that I think must have been Kim's publicist or like the family's publicist or the brands. I don't fucking know, because he like was insulting his own publicist during the interview. He was like, yeah, I don't fuck with her. I'm like, oh my God, I think I know who that is too. He even was insulting his nannies. He's like, yeah, we got some nannies in there that we got to get rid of, or I forget exactly what he said, but because he said so much, and like I wasn't taking notes, but like,
I don't mean this in a mean way, but that's exactly what I mean. Like I've kind of nodded off while you were talking about all this because I'm like, I don't care what he says. Like, okay, I really was that bored.
Like, no, that one's like extra problematic. All right, talk about celebrities all the time, right? But when you start trash talking the nannies publicly, that's bad.
Yeah, he's got so many of them, it doesn't matter.
But that's
so many of them. I'm sure it's like a I don't know, a carousel at this point at his house.
Yes, but I think it's still a big issue and problematic. Anyways, Kanye recently, allegedly, according to reports, has gotten himself a new girlfriend, even though he's still calling Kim Kardashian his wife, and even though he still wants to get back together with her.
Are they divorced?
No, they're not divorced.
They're not
yet.
Divorced.
He is said to be dating model Vinetria Amid. A model seems like the kind of perfect person for Kanye, somebody that he could control.
If it's
that kind of model, who goes along for the ride. All right. So Meghan Markle lives in America. She's American. She is connected. She's married to Prince Harry. And recently there was a lot of debate leading up to the passing of the big infrastructure bill, and one of the big issues was paid family leave. So Meghan Markle took it upon herself to somehow get the private phone numbers of several Republican senators, and she called them up to lobby for paid family leave. Do you think that's presumptuous of her to call them like on their cell phones and expect them to pick up and talk to her?
Of course it is. But at the end of the day, she annoys me typically. But at the end of the day, I kind of like that because she's just trying to do some good. You know what I mean? I think you've said that before, that she's,
I get that, but
I answered your question. Yes, it's presumptuous. And B, I think it's interesting. I like it. I'm glad she did.
I don't like it. I would rather.
Oh, really?
No, because I hate cold calling. I hate people who cold call me. And actually,
but who picks up the phone if you call? You know what I mean?
Like these senators actually picked up the phone. That's
they're dopes. I mean, I would not. If I don't know a number, there's a 0% chance. Then it's always like, hey, it's the vet. You need to call me back. Like, fuck. Then you do.
No, me too. I never pick up. But still, and even if she would have left a message, I find that annoying. I hate impromptu calls. I'm a schedule a call kind of guy. Like even now I'm trying to set up a call with a fellow parent to talk about something. And like, I've been trying to get a hold of this parent for 3 days now. I'm like, let's just schedule a freaking time. So, uh, thankfully that whole thing passed, but she really thinks highly of herself.
Was that ever debatable? I mean, that's what's annoying about her. You know what I mean? Like that is totally the annoying part of her. But I sort of like that with this instance because ultimately she's trying to do some good. Whether she's right or not, I have no idea. But
well, speaking of issues, Aaron Rodgers from the NFL, he's a quarterback. I know that. He's with Green Bay. I know that. That's in Michigan. He lied about his vaccination status. And then he tried to backtrack and claim, I didn't lie. I said I was immunized because he took some kind of alternative treatment that his doctor gave him, that it was not the COVID vaccine. Then he went on this podcast and said that the woke mob was against him and trying to cancel him. And my favorite parts, he said that he presented the NFL with 500 pages of research because he didn't think that getting the COVID vaccine was necessary or that even mask wearing was effective. He also claimed that
by the way, I listened to this whole thing.
You listened to that whole thing?
Yeah, it was a serious show, and
the Pat McAfee show.
Yeah, it was amazing.
He
it
also,
was amazing.
Wait, let me finish. He also said that he's now friends with Joe Rogan and he's taking advice from Joe Rogan.
Don't forget the flat earthers part. And by the way, Green Bay's in Wisconsin, not
Michigan. It is? Shoot.
But
he also said that he's taking Ivermectin, which FDA,
is a dewormer.
Yeah, the FDA.
No, which the company itself said that you shouldn't use it for COVID. A lot of people don't even know who owns that drug. It's one of the companies that has one of the vaccines that owns it. It's insane how much misinformation out there. But he was talking about like the research that he does, dude. He was like, well, I'm a what kind of thinker is he?
Critical thinker.
Thank you. And then the next sentence, he's talking about Joe Rogan and this stuff. And he said he's not part of the, the anti-vaxxers or flat earthers and all this stuff. And then the next sentence, he contradicts himself. And then he said he didn't lie about the inoculation thing or whatever the fuck he's calling it. It's just, you've never heard anything so nonsensical in your life. And he speaks, he's a good speaker, but he just seems like a whack job. It's the wildest thing. And it was just wild to listen to the whole thing, him backtracking and
no, not backtracking, doubling and tripling down, like more than once.
No, backtracking on what he initially said.
Well, he said that he repeatedly said he did not lie.
It's so wacky. You have to hear it. Not lie. Yeah, you have to hear it. It's amazing.
He says it was the truth, and I'll get into the whole immunization in a second.
Well, he said he's allergic to 2 of the medicines, and he's allergic to the something in the Moderna and the Pfizer, and he can only take Johnson & Johnson, and he didn't take Johnson & Johnson because, they had some clotting issues, in like 2 fucking people out of 1 million or something, which, went right back on the market when they found out everything was fine. The things he said were just nonsensical. And you're just sitting there going, you're a fucking quarterback. Throw the fucking ball. Shut up. You know what I mean? Like, quit spreading this misinformation out there. But that's what he does. And by the way, if he wants to play for my team, the Steelers, I'm all in. Fine. He's awesome. He's such a good quarterback.
He's not that young though. He doesn't have that many years left. Actually, Tom Brady's still got it.
Yeah, but he just has more skill than anyone in the NFL. It's
more than Tom Brady.
Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yes. Tom Brady though is a unicorn because he truly puts the team in front of himself, and that's what makes him so amazing. And he takes so much less money because he's like, hey, I want to play for longer, and I want to get the best guys that are standing in front of me to protect me. Some of these quarterbacks, they take all the money in the world and they break the bank, and I got the highest pay. It's short-sighted because you need you need the right people around you to win, and winning equals getting paid. Like Tom Brady can do endorsements for the rest of his life because he's a world champion over and over. That's what champions do. And that's what makes him special. It's not the fact that you got the highest fucking contract. The guy in Oakland or Vegas has a high contract. Like, they're not going to win shit ever. Okay. They suck. The Raiders blow, but because of the point I just made, you have to be a little selfless. And that's what makes Brady great. But when it comes to pure talent, Aaron Rodgers, without question, is the most talented person in the NFL.
You know what I find really odd, or maybe it makes perfect sense, Aaron Rodgers and his whole vaccine moment. I would guess, it's what a lot of conservatives or right-wing people say. But he is engaged to Shailene Woodley, who is not only liberal, but she's ultra progressive.
Yeah, she's a wackadoodle on top of it. I mean,
she's a hardcore progressive, hardcore liberal. So
well,
how does that relationship make sense?
He's in his ear. You know what I mean? Like, she's giving him this nonsense. It's so funny. Like, my girlfriend pointed this out yesterday. She was saying, she goes, it's so wild that these far left people and the people on the hard right have so much in common with these vaccines, because they're the people that are out there spreading this nonsense.
Far left people are?
These earthy granola-y don't want to, those people are. So it's the first time they've come together and agreed upon something. It's all about their body, not about man. It's about me and what I'm going to put in my, shut the fuck up and take the goddamn shot, you dipshits.
Do you guys think that Shailene Woodley and Aaron Rodgers are going to last? Call and let us know.
After listening to him speak all day.
800-721-1185. She didn't really speak directly on this, but Shailene Woodley did post on Instagram story this quote that said, "Calm seas may bring you peace, but storms are where you'll find your power."
I love when people post this horse shit on Instagram, when they have these paragraphs of serenity and calm and all. Like, anyone's reading any of this fucking shit, they're like, you get the first line from me and that's it. You could give away a fucking house at the end of your post and you'd never give away that fucking house, because no one's reading this crap. Anybody that does this stuff is just funny to me. Like, it's almost a form of narcissism. Like, you've got to put all these thoughts and this everything about you and the universe, and it's going to come to you in my zen and my fucking, you're a whack job. Like, shut up. But yeah, I've seen that a lot and I just laugh at it every time.
Khloe Kardashian loves those quotes.
Oh my God. She must be a nut job.
All right. On to more health related issues. Tiger King star Joe Exotic reveals that his cancer is very aggressive, much worse than he previously thought. And because of that, he wants to be released early from prison. Do you think he should
be released from prison?
Yeah. He's got prostate cancer.
I'm an animal guy, so anybody that subjects animals to that sort of life, I'm not going to support. I also would not wish cancer upon anyone. I don't care what you've done. It just seems awful, and it's awful,
I don't get it. In prison you get. Do they have prison hospitals? How does that work?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you probably get better care there than you would being out in Gen Pop without health insurance. And I think a lot of people know that. If you're really sick, you could go get yourself arrested and you go into the system, and in some cases you might get better care, which is awful, which is a indictment upon our country and how things are so screwed up. But
yeah, I don't think he should be released early either, but I wish him well. And it's, although from what I've read, prostate cancer is one of the more treatable
Well,
cancers.
I think it's just like anything where it depends on what stage you caught it. You know, you're right. You catch prostate cancer pretty early. It's very treatable, but like any cancer, if it spreads to other parts of your body, you're in trouble.
All right, an update on Zayn Malik. He is not, his career is not in a very good place right now. He has been dropped by his record label and his manager, and sponsors have also dropped him. Although the insiders claim that he was dropped by his label before all of this happened, which I believe, because his last album flopped so hard and his music has not been good for years outside of that initial single. Although there were some other songs of his.
Didn't he do a song with Taylor that was pretty good?
Right, that one was good. It was a song for like the 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, it was 50 Shades, yeah.
But that was good because of Taylor Swift, you know?
Well, they were good together. But you're right. Taylor doesn't put out crap. Even a soundtrack song, she puts out quality.
Yeah, that was a hit song. So sucks for Zayn Malik. In more music news, this was surprising. Ed Sheeran's new album debuted at #1 on the Billboard album chart, but it only moved 118,000 albums. By comparison, those Taylor Swift re-records have done so much more. And those are
she's doing vinyl too. Yeah. Well, there's vinyl.
So Ed Sheeran did a vinyl as well.
But her fan base is a little bit more rabid. You know, it's like two people. Her and Adele have those fan bases that are just, they could shit on a plate and literally, move product that you want to. Outside of the music, they have the product and the vinyl, the merch, everything else. It doesn't shock me that much. I mean, I'm a fan and I would just listen to the streaming album. I don't think it says much. I think it's just more, it says it's just the times. Now, people weren't listening to it or consuming it, which I believe they are. I mean, a lot of people seem to be talking about it. I would be worried, but
I mentioned last week, I love the album.
Yeah.
And he, hopefully his tour will be the real test. Like, I mean, last tour he was playing stadiums, so
he'll pick right back up where he left off. I mean, it's not like his career is waning by any, No, he's just a really good musician. I mean, good musicians that have made that many hits, that's not going to go away. Like, he's A-list. It's, he could tour for the rest of his life, and he's so good in concert.
Yeah, I think, he is still crushing it for me.
Yeah.
Although, I don't know. I was just surprised about that. All right. Speaking of music, Post Malone and The Weeknd released a joint single. It's called One Right Now. And, what's it like? It's like going to see a Marvel movie, right? It's like,
it's a good way to put it.
Soulless. There's nothing special about it. It's a formula, but I love Marvel movies and I love this song that they did together. There's nothing, quote, special about it, but it's a hit to me.
Yeah, I agree. He said it to me and I listened to it right when you sent it. And I forget what I responded, but something to the effect of it's formulaic or it's everything they've ever done, but I like it. It's not great, but it's comfortable. Maybe that's the word. It's comfortable.
And by the way, Adele is going on 3 weeks at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100.
Not at all shocked.
I still think it's a big hit. You think it's not?
I still like it. Well, no. Now
you're backtracking.
I've never not loved this song. I think it's a good song. But I just don't know if it's a big quote hit. Now, keep in mind, all of the hot AC stations, which is the only format that's playing it right now.
That's not true. I hear her on Kiss and Amp.
Oh, they're playing it on Kiss still? Because I haven't.
Not Amp. Whatever. They've got a new.
Who cares? That station blows.
Now they're called Now, I think.
Yeah, now they suck. So I didn't know they were still playing it because
Yeah.
I didn't think
Oh,
pop
yeah.
was on. But anyhow, back to my point, all of the hot AC stations have now flipped to Christmas music. So a lot of the airplay will disappear this week until next year. Now, if it comes back next year, but keep in mind, I love that song. I do love the song. And maybe it is a quote hit. It's Adele. It's hard to say what's a hit with her. She's so fucking big.
It's a
Even if
hit.
the song blew, it would still be played. You know what I mean? But it doesn't blow. It's great. So I don't know.
Well,
Let's
no,
call it a hit. Fuck it. I'm wrong. It's a hit.
you were wrong. Like the
Okay.
perfect example is that Taylor Swift song, Look What You Made Me Do. That was number 1 on the Hot 100, but I would not call that song a hit. That was not a hit.
We're in agreement. Exactly.
Okay. Easy on Me is a hit, in my opinion.
Maybe it is. I mean, maybe, only time will tell if it catches on into the ether of, hey, did this make its way to my mom? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't think it would.
Of course, moms love Adele. What are you talking about?
Well, that's true. But, for a week, but will it stay in the ether is the question. I don't know. I like it. Don't get me wrong. Could be
all
wrong.
Right. From music to TV or music television, sort of. Jennifer Hudson is throwing her hat in the ring. She wants to follow in the footsteps of fellow American Idol alum Kelly Clarkson and is pitching a new talk show with the producers behind the Ellen DeGeneres show.
Huh. I'd like to be the DJ.
Do it.
Yeah. Or the guy that sits over there and just mocks everything that the host says. That would be fun for me.
Do it.
She seems talented. I could see it. I
don't know, though. I don't know if
I've heard her talk enough.
Yeah, I don't know if she's
about other things. You know what I mean? Like people talking about themselves and being interviewed and asked questions constantly. That gets boring with anybody. It's when you step out of that and you start talking about other people. You got to be willing to do that to be on a talk show. A lot of these people, I think they take the show and then they don't do that. Then you're like, well, you got to be able to, pull yourself away from celebrity and be a regular Joe and talk about regular Joe things.
Yeah, I think Kelly Clarkson has done a great job. Drew Barrymore, on the other hand, okay enough. I don't think she's excelled on her talk show.
Yeah, it's hard when you've been famous your entire life. Like you really, that's interesting in itself, but that wears off. Like you really, if you've lived a normal life before, like Ellen had a whole life and an interesting backstory. And, I think that's the difference. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm going to get it. So I've still been watching. I haven't even really mentioned it. I've been watching every episode of Dancing with the Stars.
You're still watching. Nice.
This season. So fun. I watch it on YouTube. It's the best way to watch TV because I could, just watch what I'm interested in and fast forward and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to get into The Voice this season because I discovered this one singer on The Voice that is she gave one of the best performances I've ever seen on a singing competition show. Huh. I'm like, this woman is already an artist. Like she's already famous. Like she's already like, I see her
let's move
future.
It along. Come on. We're over an hour. No one
her
cares.
name is Shadell. Check her out on The Voice if you want to see her videos on YouTube. Shadell. She's even got a good name. Shadell. Like it's like Adele, but Shadell. Anyways.
All right, let's take some calls here.
Hi, Perez. Hi, Booker. This is Malik. Hola, from New Jersey. I like to listen to your podcast. I'm from Ecuador, but I live in New Jersey. And I'm calling just about Yolanda Hadid, the grandmother, going to the guy's house. I understand Perez because he's Latino, and as Latino, we like to show up at people's house uninvited.
It's true.
However, I am married to a gringo, an American, so I know you guys like to be announced. Like you don't just show up to people's houses; you just like to be announced. So that's why I was laughing so hard because Perez says, "What's wrong? The grandma just shows up and everything," and I'm like, "I know, Americans don't like that. Gringos don't like people coming uninvited."
I literally thought the same thing.
But Zayn is not even American. He's from the UK, and his family is
still white. I mean, what you're
he's
saying
not
is gringos, white people.
He's not white.
Oh, yeah, okay. You're right. But he's not brown either, is he?
Yeah, he is Zayn Malik, and maybe one of his parents is white, but the other one is of, I forget whatever descent.
Yeah, I don't know where he's from.
So, anyways,
it's funny though. I think just her point is it's a Latino thing where Latinos just show up. You know what I mean? Like most cultures don't. It's annoying.
Grandmas
Hey guys.
are always
I just
right
wanted to weigh in
too.
on the whole Yolanda thing. I watched the Beverly Hills Housewives. She's a lot. That doesn't mean she deserved whatever happened, but I do know in reading some of this stuff that he believes she's the one that leaked the pregnancy. So I think that was already in his, anger towards her.
Crosshairs.
She's quite the helicopter mother. Maybe she comes over unannounced a lot more than just once. She probably still asserts herself in their life a lot, as she did on the show. She struggles with Lyme disease on the show, and then all of a sudden she seems to be fine. I know that is not a reason to do whatever he did, but like Booker said, I do think there's two sides. I have a feeling that this has been boiling on the stove for years, and it just boiled over. Anyway, so that's my 2 cents. I'm not saying what he did was right.
Yeah, or you're not even saying what he did. I mean, that's just one side of the story. That's her side of the story, her family side of the story. Doesn't make it true. Doesn't make it untrue either.
I mean, obviously, she probably has not liked him for a while, but she's still the grandmother of his child.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, this is Melody calling from North San Juan, California. And I just wanted to tell you guys, I thoroughly enjoy your show. I love your banter. I like it when you guys get mad at each other. And Booker, I love that you're a fucking asshole. I fucking love it. Keep on being a straight shooter, shooting from the hip, keeping Perez in line, and have a great day, guys.
Got to keep you in line. Want to do one more here?
Sure.
One more? All right. Here we go.
Hey guys, this is Gail from PA. Love you. Been listening to the podcast for years. Been on PerezHilton.com since, 2016? No, 2006.
Wow.
Anyway, calling about Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson. Super interesting. But one thing that no one has mentioned, or at least you guys have mentioned, is maybe she's just curious to see how big he really is. Gotta say, that was my initial thought as soon as I heard they were holding hands. Maybe she just wants to know. Maybe the rumors are true. All right, love you guys. Bye.
Yeah, I want to know. Let me see that cock.
Hey guys.
All right. Well, that's one way to end things. I mean, I wouldn't say it's just for that. Okay. Like, everybody wants to feel special and excited about something new and a distraction and attention and all of that.
Yeah. I mean, she's one of the most famous people on the planet. It's got to be interesting to kind of just see what the circle looks like and to talk about it. And, it would be hard. Like, I'm trying to put myself in Pete Davidson's shoes. Like, let's say Kim Kardashian was all of a sudden interested in me and I'm single. Would I completely just say no right off the bat? Probably not. I think I would be sort of interested to see, what's going on over there. Let me have a little peek, so you can't blame him, and if she takes a peek down there, I can't blame her either. Why not? You know what I'm saying?
They've gotten peaks. Pim peaks.
Pim is dumber than Kravis even.
No way.
I hope it catches on.
Pim is better than Kravis.
All right.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Have a great week. Appreciate you. Thank you for watching and listening. Share our show with your friends, and we'll see you next week.
Take care, guys.